The viral spire rose above the rust-colored haze of Arthan's Prime like a shard of glass driven into the planet's throat. Inside, emotion was treated like malware, a design flaw to be isolated and erased. Arthur Hale knew this code well. He was a logistics officer, a man whose life ran in perfect silent minutes. Order was his religion. That's why he had been sent into the underlevels, a routing error, a blockage in the nutrient ducts. He went expecting a mechanical failure. What he found was a moral one. The lower duct smelled of coolant and old iron. Maintenance strips cut the darkness into harsh, flickering sections. Arthur's boots clicked against the grid floor, each sound sharp and lonely until the hum of the air recyclers dulled. Something had absorbed the sound. She lay at the base of a vent. Small, motionless. A rough brown sack covered her head, cinched at the neck with a knot meant to hold. Salt stains mapped the fabric where sweat had dried into terror. She curled inward, a shape trying desperately to subtract herself from the world. Arthur's jaw locked. His old marine instinct scanned for threats, drones, patrols, nothing. Someone had chosen this spot because it was a blind corner in the city's eye. He crouched. The fabric of the sack was damp near her mouth. "I'm taking this off," he said low. She flinched, a violent twitch of pure survival instinct. He worked the knot. Control, not pity. The sack sagged. Green hair tumbled out first, matted with sweat. Then skin. A dull, feverish violet. Her eyes opened, huge, unfocused, darting like trapped birds. She was dehydrated, half-starved, vibrating with the tremors of organ collapse. He didn't think. He unfastened his thermal overshirt and draped it over her. She gripped it as if it were the only solid thing left in the universe. "Can you stand?" A microscopic nod. He lifted her. She was terrifyingly light, a hollow bird in the elevator. As sound returned to the world, she leaned into his chest, hiding her face. Arthur calculated the risk. The spire erased instability. If he was seen with this broken creature, his life was over. But when the doors opened to the residential ring, he realized the choice had already been made. He wasn't rescuing a stray. He was defying the system. His apartment was a capsule of sterile silence. He laid her on the couch, water first, then broth. He moved with the rhythm of a man defusing a bomb, slow, precise, keeping the chaos at bay. "I'm Arthur Nallera," he said. Her voice was a cracked ruin. "You're safe here." He said it like a logistical fact. "No cameras, no locks. If you fall, call my name." She watched him, eyes measuring the distance to the door. "Why?" "Because you smell like vent mold," he said, handing her clean clothes. "And because I don't leave people to die in the dark." The sentence landed heavy, cracked the hard mask of survival, revealing exhaustion underneath. She showered. When she emerged, wrapped in his black thermal shirt, the steam framed her like a ghost returning to solidity. Days bled into routine. Arthur went to work, executed schedules, returned to the quiet rebellion of his apartment. Nallera spent hours on the balcony, staring at the geometric web of the city that had discarded her. She told him snippets of the before, the crystal steps, the mockery, the sack over her head. "They called me unstable. They erased me," she said one morning, watching the sunrise burn off the orange mist. "Slowly, until I believed I deserved it." "You didn't," Arthur said, placing a mug of fernseed coffee near her hand. She searched his face for a trap. "What do you want from me, Arthur? People don't save broken things without a price." "I want you alive," he said. "That's the whole list." Trust was a slow architecture. It built in the silence between them. It built when he sat next to her on the couch and didn't touch her. It built when he let her see his hands shake just once, proving he wasn't as made of steel as the spire demanded. One evening, weeks later, the apartment air felt different, charged. Nallera stood by the balcony glass, her violet skin glowing faintly with returned health. She watched Arthur reviewing schedules he no longer cared about. "You keep things straight," she murmured, stepping closer. "So you don't have to feel." Arthur powered down the console. "I used to." She reached out, fingers brushing his sleeve, a test. He went still. He didn't pull away. He didn't advance. He let her decide the proximity. "I'm not afraid of you," she whispered. "I'm afraid you'll vanish." "I won't." She placed a palm on his chest. His heart thudded against her hand, a traitor to his stoic face. She leaned in, forehead resting on his shoulder. When his arms finally came around her, it wasn't a cage. It was a foundation. Stay with me, she said. Not for duty, just because he wanted to. I do, he answered. And I will. The transition from savior to lover wasn't dramatic. It was inevitable, like gravity taking hold. They moved to the bedroom as city lights dimmed. When he undressed her, peeling away the layers of defense she had worn like armor, he did it with the reverence of a man discovering a new religion. Her skin was warm, the violet glow deepening as she arched against him. There was no hesitation left in her, only a desperate need to be known, to be felt. Arthur anchored her, hands mapping the curve of her spine, breath mixing with hers. In the Spire, intimacy was transaction. Here, in the dark, it was resurrection. When she cried out softly, clutching his shoulders, it wasn't distress. It was realization she was finally, undeniably home. Weeks passed. The Spire outside remained cold, a monument to efficiency. Inside, ferns overgrew the balcony railing. The smell of roasted grain replaced sterile air. Nalara moved through the apartment with the grace of someone who owned the space, not borrowed it. Arthur watched from the kitchen table. I'm allowed to live here, she said, a smile touching her lips. She crossed the room, scarf slipping from her shoulders, and rested her hand on the back of his neck. I kept waiting for this to feel temporary, she whispered. It won't, Arthur said, pulling her close. Not unless you want it to. I don't. He kissed her. The world outside, the routing errors, the sacks, the silent corridors dissolved. Two steady heartbeats moved at the same pace. Arthur had broken the Spire's only unbreakable rule. Don't get attached. And as he held her, defying the city with the simple act of love, he knew he would never follow orders again.